Man, these mosquitoes are rough. Anyway, welcome back, drifters. Basically what we got here is a Volkswagen TDI diesel we pulled from the junkyard in the last episode. This episode, what we're going to end up doing is tearing this thing apart as best we can. We're going to get all the accessories off. We're going to check the cams, make sure the cam's still good. We're going to go ahead and check and see if this thing's ever had the balance shaft delete or not. And then based on what we find, we'll figure out what we need to order moving forward. Eventually, we're probably going to get head studs and stuff like that. But first things first, we got to get this thing on the engine stand. So let's get to it. All right, let's see if we can get this trick to work. We're going to go on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Come on. Okay, that's not working. What about this? Okay, try. All right, well, I guess I'm going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. Well, at least those bolts held. Oh, that was crazy. It ain't supposed to be that hard. And believe it or not, I actually broke my camera lens doing this. I'm gonna have to fix that thing. So if you wanna see me fix that, I might do that in another video. But we got this thing on the stand. The next thing that we gotta do is tear this thing down and see what's inside. Hopefully nothing bad.
So this feels like a long time coming, but we're finally getting to tearing out this engine harness. Now, the whole time I was trying to label as much stuff as I could. I wasn't sure exactly what every sensor was on this thing, but I took photos with my phone just so I had like a general reference for it. But we're gonna end up modifying this harness anyway because some of this stuff we're not gonna need when it goes into the Land Rover. Now, the thing that kind of shocked me was some of the damage that was on this thing in the junkyard from when we pulled it. I mean, I kind of messed up the anti-shutter valve and the throttle body. I don't know what I was doing. It's just sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to get the motor out. But the EGR was completely cut, and this was not my doing. I don't know why they did that. I mean, I'm kind of glad because it gives me a reason to remove it, because EGRs, honestly, in my opinion, they're kind of not great for your motor. Obviously, they're there for a reason, for emissions and all that crap, but in the end of the day, what it's doing is just shoving a bunch of oil and dirty combustion gas back down the motor. Not exactly great. So, yeah, I'll be happy to get rid of that thing when the time comes.
Now for the moment of truth. Okay, so I've been looking at this camshaft, and from what I can see, it looks decent. Doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad. I don't see any major signs of wear in here. I don't see like chunks missing. I can't really see the lifter buckets in there. So I really want to pull this camshaft just to actually inspect it and make sure everything's good. I'm going to end up doing a timing belt anyway, so I may as well do this just to make sure. It's weird because it has these weird little sockets. I think they're called triple squares, because it's like 3 squares layered on top of each other if you were to look at it. I don't have those, so I'm going to order some of those so that way I can get some tools. And then we'll work on getting this camshaft out and checking it out and seeing how all that goes. So far, so good. So something's telling me someone's been in here before because this is RTV. I don't know why there would be RTV right here, considering that there's an actual gasket that goes over it, as well as there's supposed to be RTV in between this joint here. But it appears as though maybe it was leaking, so maybe they missed it and they just tried fixing the leak in like a cheap way. I'm not 100% sure, but that doesn't look right. Okay, now another thing that's got me thrown off is right here there's a mark where you can see that somebody put a 1 on there, because each of these caps are supposed to be labeled. So I'm not 100% sure if they all come like that, but I noticed there's markings on each one of these. Like look, that one right there, that's a 3. Like they already have markings in them. So another sign that shows that maybe somebody's been in here before is the RTV on the camshaft. Like, look at this. This is like little RTV flakes. Yeah, so that's not meant to be there. Why is that there? I don't know. But on the plus side, it looks like the timing belt has definitely been replaced before, because you can see all the wear marks on the tensioner there. So who knows?
Okay, so I have to say, I am very, very happy that this thing is on an engine stand because I've had to do timing belts inside of cars before, and it is a pain in the neck, especially front-wheel drive vehicles where there's just not a lot of room to work with. So this has just been a blessing having this thing on the stand because not only does it get me more familiar with this particular motor, but it's also just so easy to stand upright and do this. Like, I do not envy anyone that's got to do this inside the engine bay.
So this tool right here did not work the way I wanted. It was not fitting all the way through, so we're gonna try to sand this thing down. This is very sketchy and I would not suggest doing anything this way, but you know what? Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do to make it work. And that's what we're doing right now. So I've got this in my drill press. I'm gonna crank this on and then just put very fine sandpaper around it and try to sand it by hand. This is like 1500 grit sandpaper, so it's definitely doing the job because I don't want to take too much away, but I want to get it to fit in that hole properly. It's a cheap tool from Amazon, so I can't expect much. Okay, let's try that and see if it fits any better. Alright, we'll see if that made a difference. Alright, so here's the piece that we polished up, just to show you it goes in here. It was getting stuck like this, but now it's going all the way in. Like, it's pretty much flat now, and it pops right out. Before, I'll show you the other one. Now you can see there's these two pieces. This is the one that we polished tighter. You can kind of see the difference there. So it's very hard to see. The thick one does not want to go all the way in. It gets stuck like right there, and it's sticking out quite a bit. Versus this new one that we polished, goes boom all the way in. So that works. You just have to grind it down a little bit. So nice. So you can kind of see what we're doing. So you see like where that is, nothing, no hole, and then bam, lined up. That's what we want. All right, so you can kind of see right here where there was something before where somebody had already marked this thing. So top dead center has already been kind of noted. But what we're gonna do is put the lock in there just to make sure this thing don't move. All right, are we locked? That's okay, that's not bad. I've seen worse, but that should hold. All right, so we're gonna loosen this sucker up. There it goes, loosen that up. There she goes. That's nice and loose now. And then we'll get this out of here, and then we should be able to get that thing out. Then we'll get the idler pulley out of here. There we go. There we go. Yeah, it's got a little bit of pitting in there. It's definitely seen better days. I think before I'm gonna take this off, I'm gonna try to loosen these bolts a little bit. Oh, okay. Scheiße. Here we go. Let's try that again. Okay, if I didn't do this bolt first while it's still locked and connected, that would have been a pain. So I'm glad I did that. A little bit of intuition goes a long way. Get these bolts out. I'm gonna loosen these just a little bit too, just cause. And luckily these aren't super tight. There might be enough movement in here that I can get this thing off. There we go. There it is. All right, got it. Come on, you bastard. All right, got her off. Who knows how old this thing is? It's all right, we're getting a new one anyway. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pull these two pieces here. Real simple. Okay, tensioner done. Actually, I need to take that out because if we take the cylinder head off. Now the question is this the original water pump or was it replaced? I have a feeling it's been replaced because I see marks on the timing gear up here. Made in Germany. Nice. Oh, there we go. Just a little bit of coolant. All over my floor. Nice. Alright. Well, it looks like as though it's got a pretty good updated pump on here. It's metal. It's not made out of plastic. For whatever reason, it seems like they liked using plastic pieces because they did it on the BMW too. But yeah, this looks pretty good actually. All right, timing belt's off. On to the next. All right, so if any of y'all have epoxy floors, just know this: if you get coolant on it, it's a slip and slide. Like, it is super easy to fall. I've busted my ass many times, almost done the splits on multiple occasions. So it's worth cleaning up. So I got that wiped up a bit. We're good as far as that goes. So now what we're gonna do is work on pulling this camshaft out. Again, like, I've never worked on this motor before, so this is all kind of new for this particular motor. I've done this before on other motors and engines and stuff, so I understand the concept. It's not that bad. But this is not a how-to video, all right? Like, I'm building this thing for me and for my project, so it's not what we're here for. But what we're here for is to see whether or not this cam is screwed up. So we're going to go ahead and take this sucker out, take a look at the lifter buckets, see if those things are looking okay or whether or not they're worn out. And that way we can get a good idea of what parts I need to order to get this thing built the way that we want it. So I guess first things first, let's go ahead and pull this camshaft and take a look at what we find.
Cool thing about diesel motors is a lot of them operate very similarly. This one is direct injected, and it's got these pair of rocker arms on top. The cam gear is a little bit tricky to get out, and it's got a tandem pump in the back. Basically, from my understanding, the tandem pump just kind of helps with the fuel timing and stuff like that, and I think it also adds vacuum. But anyway, we're basically removing that. It's just like 3 bolts, nothing too complicated. The part that gets really tricky is honestly going to be that cam gear. But removing these rocker arms on this thing, I basically just started in the middle, worked my way out, and slowly loosened it up. That way we removed the pressure kind of evenly and did each side like one at a time. It's a little bit of a trickiness there, but it's really not too bad. Honestly, it's just like any other rocker arm setup with this. Now this camshaft, I came up with a puller essentially because they make one for it, but I designed it just out of sheet metal. But the problem is my sheet metal was so thin that it just started bending instead of pulling it off. The concept would have worked, but the metal was just not thick enough. So then I came up with the bright idea of using a steering wheel puller, which actually worked. I just had to get bolts that fit on this thing. The only thing is that it kept wanting to rotate, and that's not good because of the valve. So I just popped in a wrench to kind of hold it in place. And when this thing popped off, I mean, it popped off. It was crazy. I thought I had broke something, but it was perfectly fine. Ended up moving on to removing these cam caps. Now, I don't really have instructions on this because I couldn't find anything. So I basically did just like I did on the rocker arms, and I kind of just worked my way out from the outside in and just kind of slowly did it. But I noticed that one of the caps, specifically, I believe it was the one in the middle, number 3, or maybe it was 4, I can't remember. There was a strip bolt already in there, which told me that somebody was probably in here before. I just wasn't 100% sure at this point.
Now, hey, one thing I am not sure about on this tandem pump is this thing supposed to be loose like this? Like, it's kind of wobbly. So if any of you VW guys know anything about this, could you let me know? So one way I knew that someone had been in here before is these bolts right here. I don't know if you can see that too well, but this top one here, it's so hard to hold that perfectly. So if you look here, you can see that this bolt was stripped out. You can see where those teeth are. That was like that before I even got in there. Now for comparison, here is the good one. This is what a good one should look like. Yeah, you can see it pretty good there. Yep. These bearings, you can see that there's this coating that's just been kind of worn all the way away. Now that's kind of normal for bearings, but this doesn't look great. I don't see any major like cuts or like anything in there that's like an actual problem where it's catching necessarily. Probably gonna end up replacing these just to be safe, but not terrible. And like here's the middle bearing, which is obviously gonna have the least amount of stress. And you could see like it's got a little bit of wear in there, but that's probably just from like break-in and like cold starts and stuff like that. Like it's not too bad. There's no like chipping or anything. Like it's just dirty oil right now. So this is the number 1 bearing, and you can see just how much it's worn in that one spot, which is a little odd. It's dirty, but I don't really see anything major as far as damage. There's nothing catching. Like I can run my nail on it. It's fine. Technically, I could probably reuse these bearings, but I'm going to end up replacing them just because it's cheap insurance and we're already in here. But yeah, I mean, they're not bad. They've not been like walked or anything like that. But overall, pretty good. So what's interesting is this is the number 1 cap, and this bearing on the top looks like it almost has no wear at all. So that's telling me that it's probably just from cold starting and stuff like that, just wearing out this material on the bearing surface, because they both all look fine as far as like no deep gouging or anything like that. But cheap insurance will replace them anyway. Okay, so here's the lifter, and the way that it works is the cam sits on this and it just kind of spins. So this thing will spin in place. So say like when it's moving, it's just hitting on the corner and just spin, spin, spin. I mean, it might be on the inside. I think it's on the outside, but I can't remember. But either way, it just hits, and then that's what causes it to spin like that in the bore. And that's where you get that wear pattern on these things. It's a little bit strange at first when you see it, but it is completely normal. You can see there, that's kind of the wear pattern, but what we're looking for really is to see whether or not it's dished. And this thing is very, very clean, very straight, and the plunger works just fine. So these are actually really good, it seems. So I was looking at the camshaft, and it seems actually legit, like, fine. Like, there's a little bit of wear here. You can see where the, like, coating is starting to wear off, but, like, the actual cam is good. So when we're looking at it, we're looking at this tip here, and we're trying to see if it's, like, flattening. And I'm not really seeing it on any of them. Like, they all look pretty good. That is an aggressive cam lobe. That looks kind of crazy, actually. All the bearing surfaces look really good. Like, I don't really see any, like, damage or anything like that. Like, they look solid. Now, obviously, this is just a visual inspection. So if I really wanted to be precise, I need to break out calipers. But they all look really good. But I got to show you something on this camshaft. I found this is insane. So I just discovered that this is actually a Colt cam. That is insane. I don't know if it's a stage 2 or stage 3. So it actually has a stamping on it. So I'm going to call the company and find out just what cam this is, because this is insane that this was actually in there. This was a hell of a find. Okay, I'm going to call them right now and see.
Thank you for calling Colt Cams.
Calling Colt Cams, this is Taryn. How can I help you?
Hi, yes, I was actually calling because I'm currently working on a motor, and it had a cam in it that said it was a Colt cam.
See here, what was the number?
Okay, so it's got, on the markings on the front of the cam, it shows GKVC, and then there's like a 5-digit number under that. It's C640H.
So, we're at kind of a weird, like an in-between right now. So,
Okay.
Colt Cams, we actually just acquired them.
Oh.
So they were like up in Canada, and then we brought them down to the States just a couple months ago. So I don't know if they would have like records of these other, cams for like the Volkswagens that they made.
Right.
But I can definitely ask. I'll just have to double check. But as far as like me being able to access that number, I don't think I can right now.
Okay.
So I'll get with our owners and see if maybe he can kind of dig around in some records and find like any type of information for you.
Yeah, that would be great, honestly. Because I'm just curious to know which one it is, so when we go to tune this thing, that we know like kind of what we're dealing with.
All right, perfect. Okay, I will be sure to give you a call back as soon as I have a chance to speak with them, okay?
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. You have a good one.
All right, you too. So we don't know what stage it is, but I have a feeling it's a stage 2, because I think to do a stage 3, you have to do some pretty heavy modification of cylinder head. But this is really good news, because these cams are forged. It's billet. Really, really solid stuff. Like, I was thinking about upgrading to one of these, but I didn't want to because it was so expensive. Because I was just going to get like a cheap little cam if this thing was wrecked. But it looks fine. And like, it shows a little bit of signs of wear, but based off of what this cam is, I'm not concerned at all. That's actually an insane find. Like, this cam, I think it's like $700 brand new. It's like $679, but tax and everything, it's over $700. So we're definitely keeping the cam. Yeah, now we're at the point where I need to pull the cylinder head, because I want to do head studs, and to do them properly, realistically, you need to take a head off and resurface and do all that good stuff. So probably going to do that, as reluctant as I am, because I'm trying to be on a budget here. I just think it's going to be a good move, and it's going to be insurance in the future. So yeah, this is awesome news. So once I know more, once they call me back, we'll know for sure what kind of cam this is, but the cam looks fine. They even upgraded the lifters. The lifters look good. So, man, this is awesome.
So now one thing with having a direct injected motor is that these injectors typically get really stuck in these bores. Now, they've got a little lockdown pin that you got to remove first, but the idea that I came up with was basically using a cable, like a wire, and I wrapped it underneath the metal portion of it and tried yanking and yanking and yanking. And the first one, of course, that one came out just fine. It was all the other ones that were kind of stuck in there, because it looked like as though some of these injectors had been replaced before. But by the time I got to the third one, that one popped out, went flying across the room, and landed on the floor somewhere. I thought I broke it. I honestly did. But I think it's okay. I'm not 100% sure We'll just have to find out later, but I'm sure it'll be fine. After getting all the injectors off, it was time to remove the intake and the exhaust from this thing so we get the cylinder head off, but there was a lot of stuff that was in the way to remove it. I also noticed that the exhaust was missing literally 4 bolts, so that's kind of interesting as well. I don't know if that's just from the junkyard or what, but I was really glad to get the turbo off and everything else because I got a really good glimpse of just how dirty the cylinder head was. I mean, this is what happens with direct injected motors, but especially when you have an EGR. So it's time to move on to removing the actual cylinder head, and everything was going great up until I got to the middle bolt. There was this one bolt that was already stripped, which again tells me someone's either done a head gasket or something. Maybe they accidentally removed just that one bolt. I don't know why they would do that, but yeah, it wasn't really reassuring, but it made me very glad that I was actually doing this because it means that we can get it done properly and actually get some real head studs in there and make sure that this thing is never going to lift again. Hopefully. We'll see.
Okay, so I got all the bolts out. It's all nice and set. It's time to see what's inside here. Oh, baby. Oh, yeah. Okay. Alright, let's go get this down. Alright, so surprisingly, this thing looks really, really clean. Even inside here, inside the bores, they look really good. Overall, I don't really see anything too bad. There's a little bit of carbon buildup, but for how old this thing is, I mean, not bad. So overall, I have to say that the cylinder head itself looks pretty dang good from what I can tell. All these valves look alright. They all look like they're probably the original ones, but I don't see a ton of soot or combustion gases built up in there. It looks pretty solid. I'm gonna take a look at the head gasket. I have a feeling it was probably fine, but this was just preventative maintenance. Let's see what we got here. Come on. Alright, wow, it's a good ass gasket. Holy cow, that thing is like thick. Definitely a multi-layered steel gasket. Not really seeing anything too terrible with it. So yeah, I mean it was probably fine, honestly. But you know what? It's alright. At least now we know for sure. And we'll get this thing sent off to the machine shop. Okay, so thankfully we took the cylinder head off because that thing was filthy. It was covered in all kinds of sludge and nastiness, more than likely from using the EGR system and everything like that. But it was really bad. So we're going to end up taking that thing to the machine shop, get that thing cleaned up. But in the meantime, we're going to finish tearing this thing down as far as we can. We still need to go ahead and check underneath the oil pan to make sure everything's looking good in there. I need to see whether or not this thing's been deleted yet because it has a balance shaft in there that is a major source of problems, especially once you start tuning these things and adding a lot of power and things like that. So we're going to check that. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that that thing's already been done. Just judging by some of the stuff that we found already with that cam and everything else, there's a good chance that somebody may have already done it, which, if that's the case, we just hit the jackpot with this motor. As far as the actual cylinders itself, they look pretty good from what I can tell. There's a little bit of cross-hatching at the bottom still, but not so much at the top, so it's definitely got signs of wear. I'm guessing that this motor's probably got at least 200,000 on it. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this thing will run just fine for what we're doing. Yeah, because I don't want to tear it all completely apart and then I'm dropping several grand just to get this thing back on the road. The whole point of this whole thing was to do it on a budget and see what we could do for a relatively reasonable amount of money. So, yeah, I think we're going to run forward with that. But first thing we got to do now is we're going to go ahead and start taking off all these accessories and crap that's just kind of in the way. Get a better idea of what's going on the block. Get the oil pan off and check and see whether or not this thing's had that balance shaft delete. So, yeah, let's go ahead and check it out and see what we find.
So one of the main benefits of taking everything off of this motor is, one, I get to figure out just how easy it is to do, and two, I hopefully get to figure out where the hell this leak is coming from. Because when we were at the junkyard, this thing was just completely coated in oil, and if you know anything about me, it's that I absolutely hate leaks. So no matter what we end up doing with this thing, we're going to end up basically fixing any and all leaks possible, resealing everything and getting it all nice and tightened up. But the beauty of tearing everything down like this is I get a good idea of just how hard it is to actually remove everything when it's sitting in the car. Turns out it's actually pretty simple to disassemble this thing. So now I did notice a few problems, and that's that the power steering pulley was all bent up from whenever they removed it last. The oil dipstick tube was definitely part of the oil leak because it's all cracked. I'm pretty sure this thermostat is the original one because it's completely stuck. And this crank sensor is one of the first 9mm I've seen in the wild. Well, if you're not counting pew-pews, but basically all I'm doing now is just turning this thing upside down, letting it drain out all over my floor. I had a drain pan, but it didn't quite catch everything, unfortunately.
There we go.
But now that we got it in the right position, it's time to remove all these pieces from the oil pan and just kind of get it all completely unbolted and see what we find inside of this thing. Now, I have been hoping and praying that when I take this thing off that I see that there is no balance shaft underneath here. But unfortunately, that's not exactly the case. As it turns out, the balance shaft was still attached to this thing. But it's not all bad, because it turns out that they actually upgraded this to a gear-driven balance shaft.
So we got a pretty big surprise when I took off this oil pan, and that's that I discovered that someone's definitely been in here before, because there is a crap ton of this RTV. They really love that stuff on this thing. I don't know what the deal is. But basically, we got this thing out, and I found out that the balance shaft, they actually upgraded to a gear-driven balance shaft. Now, I guess in the European market, that's more common, but here in the States, we got the chain-driven version, which is evidently really prone to failure. I guess part of the failure is there's this little like hex key looking shaft in the middle of there that connects it all to the oil pump. And when that thing shears off, this thing just falls apart. You don't get oil pressure. Boom goes the dynamite. Now, my question is, if there are any VW techs out there or anybody that's worked on these TDI motors and has actually like put some performance into it, is it worth keeping this chain-driven setup, or would it be better to delete it and go to the ALH setup, which is a chain-driven version? I'm assuming that with this gear one, we're probably going to be fine, but I really don't know. My goal is somewhere between 150 and 200 horsepower, but probably closer to like 300-ish foot-pounds of torque, because it's going to have to move a super heavy Land Rover, and I don't want it to feel like a dog. Outside of that, we've got this thing torn down just about as far as I want to go today, because now I have a good idea of all the different parts that I need to get, the different seals. I had a really good idea of how this thing's been taken care of, who's been in here before. We got to get the cylinder head cleaned up. We got to get that sent off to the machine shop, and we're going to have to check a bunch of stuff just to make sure that we're good as far as all this stuff goes when we go to reassemble it. Probably going to end up cleaning it up, doing some painting, maybe something like that, because it's an iron block. And yeah, I just want to make sure it's not going to rust. I want it to look really good when we're done with it. But yeah, so I'm really happy with the results, especially with what we found in this thing, because if I don't have to replace this balance shaft and we got the upgraded camshaft, like, this is a really sick junkyard find. Like, this is actually insane. So I'm really excited for this build. It's going to be a lot of fun, but just remember, I'm just one guy, and these builds take time. So my videos are probably going to be a little bit slow when it comes to releasing them, but I'm going to do my best to make them literally as good as I can, because I want to make sure that it's worth the wait. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, share it, subscribe if you haven't already, because all that stuff really helps me out, especially because, I mean, I'm doing like one video a month at this rate. And every little bit that you do helps me out, and I really appreciate it. And I'm hoping that I'll see you in the next one. So, yeah, I guess without further ado, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you later.